Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. We're back on the Toyota door. It's time now to get this door finished up. We have to do a pile of work on it now. We're to the point now where all we got left is the bottom. So let's get started on that now. So stick around. In the last few videos, we have to do a bunch of stuff on this door. I've after welding pieces in here. Over on this side here, this whole corner was rusted out. I've repaired that, put a section in here. Around the door handle was all rusted out. I made up a new piece and installed that in there. So now that I got all that done, all I have to do is the bottom of the door. First thing I got to do is I got to remove this door bar. Okay, that's going to have to be cut out, so I'll work on that first. But what we're dealing with here now, of course, is the bottom of the door skin. All the corners and the bottom are gone. Okay. She's gone up past the belt line. Now, I don't want to go getting in and putting the door skin up into the middle of this panel. I want to keep it close to this belt line and below it. What I'm going to end up doing here now is I'm just going to replace the center of this here with a new section, and hopefully I don't warp it up too bad in here and get this here all straightened away now. It's a good time to do it because when I get this door bar out of it, I'll be able to work that piece there right easy. So that way when I put the door skin on it, all I need to do is work the bottom side of this here. As you can see on this door skin, I've after replacing the bottom on this already, and that's all I did is I joined it up through here. There's a full video on this one as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to concentrate on doing the door skin, much the same as this one here. It's just that I'm going to have to get in and repairing up here on the other door. So before we get started on that, first things first, let's get this cut out. The thing I'm after doing here now is I'm after removing a bunch of stuff from inside the door. Even more stuff. I had to move this out so the lock cylinder was in the way and these window frame rails were in the way. Move over here, you can see what I got done. I got everything limbed off. I got this piece of plate here now that I'm going to slide up through the door. Up through here, like so. And go right on up to the top up there. See where that comes out. Up there. So that way I can actually take the plasma cutter now and go and whip that off there. Hopefully I don't burn through the plate and burn the outside of the skin. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and set up the plasma cutter and get that cut out. That's not as easy as it looks. This is a piece of plate. The reason why I wanted that in there, because you can see where it's burning through. Actually blew through there, right? The hardest part is just trying to get the tip of the gun in there so I can get it set up so I can cut, right? Now I got to go over and do this side here. I got the gun in there now, trying to get it done. So I'm just going to go ahead, put this piece of steel over here and get that side cut out. As you can see, that was a lot of trouble. The biggest problem I had was getting the gun in there because of the inner structure. I could have cut that out of it. I wasn't cutting it out of it. I managed to make do. You couldn't get the tip at the right angle to make the cuts. And a lot of the times what I found with the plate was actually, she was burning through the plate as well. All right? She burned through the plate that I had here and burned holes in the sides of her. And this here is like 16 gauge. So I was trying to save the outer skin as much as I could. Bit of heat there, a small hole there I can weld up. Same with over here. It's close to the edge, should be fine. There's a little bit of heat put in there, that's fine. But what I got to do now is I got to clean this up in here. There's a bit more, I can get the grinder in there now, so I'm going to take the grinder with a couple of cut-off wheels on it and clean that up and get that out of there. But well, that nightmare is over with. I got it all cut out. All I used was the air grinder with the cutting wheel. And some are saying, why didn't I use that to cut it out in the first place? The problem you got is the thickness of this. This is a thick bit post, right? This is really thick. If you look at it. Right? And you can't get nothing in here because these are in the way. Okay? So why you couldn't do that. I tried on the other door. There's spot welds down through here. I can show you better on the other side. Right here. These spot welds here. You could drill them out. I tried them on the other door. This panel comes forward and tips down and hooks in the door. And the problem you got is, I tried it last time and I couldn't get it to let go. I was going to cut the door panel in half and then take it out that way. You can also probably cut right down through here. I didn't want to go destroying this the outer skin. If I had to just take a zip blade and cut it right down through there, I could let it go that way too. But then I'd have to weld all this back up again, right? So I just took it out from the inside as best I can. I got it cleaned off there now. You can see it in there, right? Getting through there. That was cleaned off. That one over there is cleaned off. That's good enough for that. Now that I got that done, it's time to get into that door skin. So here we are. The plan is that I don't want to go making a big door skin and joining it in up here. Putting this bend in it, going right across here. Because I know for a fact, after when I welded up there, and the problems I run into, this is going to fall right here. And then when I got a full skin on this here and this starts to fall here, I'm going to run into problems. I want to keep everything below this edge here. This edge here will help fight warpage because of the shape this there, right? It makes it stronger and it's hard to warp up and whatnot that way there. So what I got to do is I got to get this look all the way across here. Now here it's above it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a piece and probably do this type of thing with it and put a piece right in there. Now's the time that I get any warpage running in it. I got lots of room here to get at the back side to make it nice and straight. That way I can get this all straightened up right nice, so that all I can worry about that is everything from below this. So I'm going to go ahead, go over and find a piece of metal, go over in the brake and bend it up. So I'm here now, I got the piece of metal cut out, and then I turned around and I went and marked it. What I did is I went over and I took a flat piece of steel and made a template of the actual door shape itself. So that fits right there like so. Then I got my measurements there. That's the angle that I want it on. That's the length I want it on. There's got to be a sharp edge here and a bit of a roll on this one here. So I come over here then, I took that measurement there and I put it across there and marked it out. Got myself a bit of tin. This is about 16 inches long. I may cut it off, I don't know. And then what I did, I went and dimpled the ends of it because I'm not sure where the bends are going to be. So that way if I got to flip it over, I got marks on the other side to go by. And I can actually roll from the other side. So I'm going to go over the brake now and bend this up. So I'm here now and I got the first bend made, and I'm not fussy on the way how big of a roll it is. So I'm going to put it on the I-beam here now and flatten this out here and flatten this out here and sharpen up this actual lip itself. As you can see here, all I did is I just hammered on either side of the line and just tightened it up so that when I use my template on it, it has the same shape of it. So now I can go over now. I did that first because once I put this bend in it here, the second bend, it's going to be hard to do what I just did there. So now I can go over and put that bend in it, and the roll that is on the actual bender itself should be fine for that roll there. So that's the first trial fit. I've flattened it out a small bit there now, fine tuned that, and get it to fit there flat. So I got it all bent up, then I went over and I test fit it, then I dollied it, I test fit it, I dollied it, I test fit it, I dollied it, I test fit it till I was happy with it. So fits pretty good there now. Come over here and lay it against it here. Lines up there like so. And that's pressed down there. Okay. Same one over on this end. Bring it over to here. That lines up good there. So what I'm going to do now is position this. I was going to trim off the top of this here, but I think I'm going to leave it there. I know I'm up in the middle of the door, but I do have access to the back of the panel here. I'm going to try something different than this one now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this one to fit, because the problem with this is that I got to get these here to line up, and I got to move that up like so and that down. So I'm just going to mark it out, trim it up, and cut it to fit, and then I'm going to go from there. So let's get this fit in place there now. I'll mark it out where I want it to go and cut it out. So I went ahead and I cut the fit over here, and I cut it right up to the very corner here. And did the same thing over here, cut her up the corner. But I never cut all this off it. I just cut it clean off to there and left a bit there. I'm going to do the cutting board across there. I want something for that to lay on, because if I just cut the fit to that, that's going to want to do that for me, okay? Don't mind the side so much as that. Then what I went and did, found this old piece of bed iron, okay? It's nice and straight. I looked at it, made sure. Then I cut it off the length. I want to put this right here to hold all that in place. Give me something to go off of. So I'll get that clamped in place there now. So I'm here now, and I clamped the piece of angle iron onto the actual lip itself and come straight across on both sides, clamped it in place, lined it up with the edge. Then I went clamped in the piece. This is what I'm at here now, fitting it in place. And remember now, I got it up here, I got it set up so that I can actually do the cutting board. But I'm sat here looking at it, and I'm trying to think about, you know, what's going on here, what's going to happen. There is another crease up here, about this far up all the way along the door. There's another belt line goes up through there. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to go out and dig out another piece of bed iron, and I'm going to mount it right here. Clamp it on the back side. One of the advantages of having the bottom cut off the door. I'm trying to reinforce this as much as I can. Something to draw away the heat. Something to give it a backing. Clamp it in place. Once it's clamped in place, and I'll let it cool down. So that way, try to avoid the tucking and stuff like that going on. I expect it's going to happen. I'm just trying to see if I can experiment with this now and see if I can get it. Like, this is nice and straight here now. Looking up across that there now, that's nice and straight, okay? So I'm going to go out and dig out another piece of angle iron, clamp it in here. I'm going to take this here, I'm going to cut this clean right off in here now for the cut to fit. And that way I can actually fit this in place and make sure all this is good, and I'll just clamp it as I'm going. Because where I got backing on it and there's a straight panel, it should work fine. So let's get this done. Wondering, I'm using the term bed iron. That's what these are. They're actual rails off a bed. They're steel rails. And this stuff is really not good for doing any heavy structural stuff. It's alright for doing small projects and that. But I wouldn't recommend using this stuff on anything like chassis or anything like that, because this stuff is very brittle, and when you weld it, it'll actually snap, okay? Whatever the stuff is made out of. But it's good to have around for doing small things, and in the case of this here is a nice straight edge. So I'm going to use that there now in the door. So here's what I got done. Got the other piece of bed iron mounted in behind it, clamped down there, and clamped down there. So this here now has got my two shapes. I got the bottom one and the top one. I can actually start clamping this in place now. I'll probably might have to trim this up to fit. I'll have to check that out there now at once, but I'll get this fit in place and get it all clamped in. I don't think I used enough vice grips. So I got it all put in place. I got one piece of angle iron here, and there's another piece up here that goes through right here underneath the actually edge of the thing. And so then I start fitting it in place, and I dollied it and I fit it in place. I'm more concerned about this section right here amongst everything else. Right here is what's crucial for me. I want to have that there the same on both sides. And I played around, tapped it, and knocked it down, and stuff like that to get that there straightened away. And I ended up getting a bit of a gap on the top in some spots. But I got the other piece of the bed iron is underneath that there as well. So what I'm going to do now, a while back someone posted a video of a guy who done much the same type of welding. But what he used to do is he used to weld a section of it, grind and finish it, section of it, grind and finish it. I'm going to try it with this one here. I'm going to turn around and take these ends now. I'm going to take these both ends, and I'm going to grind and finish both ends here and have them done, okay? I'm going to weld them up, grind them up and do them, and then I'm going to concentrate on getting this here. This is where my trouble is going to be up here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be when I start welding that. But I'm going to get this finished up here now, get it welded up, and grind it up. As you can see, I got sections here welded up, and after moving some of the vice grips around here now, I'm going to grind and dress this, finish this off all together here now. So I'm going to do just this section here, instead of worrying about all the rest of this up here right now. I'm going to grind and finish this off, and just take it a bit at a time. So I can actually control the heat, because grinding it adds a lot of heat to it as well, okay? So the smaller you can keep it, the area is fine. So this is an experiment here today. I'm using the angle iron as the backing, and I'm actually going to weld like an inch, grind it, weld an inch, grind it, you know. See what it comes out like. So I got that one there all done, grind it up. Got this one done as well. This side never come out as nice as the other one, but down here I don't mind it. Up here, I'll work that a bit more later, I think, if I really want to get into it. But what I'm going to do now is weld this section here, and weld this section here. I'll clamp it up here now, and I'll weld this up here, and I'll weld this up here, let it cool off. Here's what I got done so far. I got it welded up along here and over here a bit, about almost 2 inches across the top of it. It feels pretty good, I can guarantee you that. There's nothing up here, everything up here seems good. Down here is a little small high spot, nothing serious, right? But this here down here, this section here is really good. And I come over here and I welded this section over here, done the same thing with it. Got that welded up along here. It's an interesting process, I can tell you that now, because I'm finding that just the welded area seems to cool faster, and like I'm not putting heat throughout it everywhere. And what I'm finding is what I noticed. Well, I had all this fitting right nice, but over here you can see what's going on, right? And like I'm welding here and over here, and you can actually see this is pulling over here. Is moving the metal all the way over as far as there. Like what it's doing is moving metal around here, and it's just pushing it to the weakest point, which is over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work from this side here, work my way across, so that I'm only left with a spot over here that I got to deal with some warpage of some sort, right? If there's something on the go. But it's interesting, right? It's a neat way of doing it, especially on this now. I don't know what it's like. I've after letting go of the piece of angle iron on the bottom side, because I noticed I did weld to it and nothing really sticks to that good, and I had to break it out clear, and then I just clamped it back on again. So I had to clamp down. I'm just going to go ahead now, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to weld an inch, grind an inch, weld an inch, grind an inch, weld an inch, grind an inch. I'm just going to naturally let it cool down on its own, and keep the angle iron behind it as a straight edge, and just clamp it as I'm going. I'm going to clamp it on either side of wherever I'm welding. I'm going to clamp it. And then weld in the middle of it, let it cool off, take the clamps off it, grind it, move on to the next section. I've been here welding away, grinding, welding about 1.25 inches, weld about that much. And then I grind it, and I'd weld another bit, right, and grind it. That's what I've been doing. It's quite interesting. I still got the angle iron behind it. I sat around, started playing around with cooling it with air. This is an experiment for me more than anything else, just to see what things are happening. And I was over here doing some welding, and I welded it, everything was fine. I struck the cold air to it. As soon as I struck the cold air to it, this caved in on me. So I got bit, okay? Now, I got it pushed up now with a block of wood inside here, but when I take this out, you see that falling there, look? That's low, right in through there. So I'm keeping the block of wood in there now. I'm going to have to hammer this or something to try to get this to come up. And that happened when I was over here, and I turned around, I was going across welding it, let it cool off, then grind it, weld it, cool off, everything was going. And I finally said, what would happen if I cooled it with air? And I wish I had to have the camera on, because when I hit it with the cold air, as soon as I hit it with the cold air, I went tunk up here. This fell. And I was like, oh, what have I got done, right? So, but I'm trying to push up on to keep strain on it, so hopefully that the heat from this here will go back into this here and force it to go this way at some point. Because it started, I was over here welding it, and it was over here, and it's moved over, but now it's staying here, and I'm going past it, so it just seems like there's one spot there that's down. Right there, it is. All that's down there. Oh my, what have I got done? What have I got done? All right, mistakes were made. First of all, the welding and the way I was doing that there was working out great. The mistake that was made is when I got over to here, when I got to about here, everything was still looking good. But for some reason, this last 2 inches, it just went to a hell in a handbag like that. And what happened is, I've talked about it before in many other videos about chasing your welds, okay? Like you turn around and you start here and you weld up and you come across here and then you come down here. Mistake is that I welded it here and I welded it here. So when this got over here, the metal had nowhere to go. And then what ended up happening, it just bundled up in this corner is what it ended up doing because I had this side welded up. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to split this up through here again and try to relieve it and get this here dollied back. Everything from here to here is dropped. It just seems like, regardless of what I got on the angle, I don't know what is going to happen when it takes the angle on there. This will all cave right in. I haven't taken it off it yet. So before I do anything else, maybe that's what I should do. I should disconnect all this here and just to see what it relaxes at and go from there. Well, now, I got all that go there. I went and put a little slide crown on this, hoping that when I start welding it was going to bow back the other way on me. Well, I'm telling you, you can't win for the trying, right? I put a bow on that, and I never went out of it. So that's hard here. That just basically does this type of thing. But it's over-exaggerated, but that's what it's doing. And I done that on purpose, because I figured when I start welding all this up, this is when it's going to concave on me. And I figured that if I went and put this much in it, it'd come out of it and it'd straighten itself up. No. And up here, oh my God. Look at this. Good light underneath that. Hello. You come up to right there. That's good up there. And it starts coming down. Look over here, look. That's all down there. All along there, that's all down. That's down from there, over to there, all the way up there. Everywhere the patches too. Over here on this end here is nothing there, right? This here is straight. It's just that it had to fight itself up here. Now, I can honestly say I was expecting this to happen. I was hoping it wouldn't. But, you know, it's just one of those things. But what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to go back to my first thing. I'm going to cut this up across here. I'm going to cut that weld off of there. And then I'm going to see if I can get this here flattened along here. I'm going to do that first and re-weld that. Then I'm going to go on the inside and I'm going to weld this on the inside. Flip the door over and weld it up. And I'm not going to do nothing else with none of this here until I got this here fully welded in, because I'm going to have to reinforce it on the back side because it's thin along there. And I want something there to have strength. So when I start welding that, it might straighten that up. I can't make it no worse than what it is. Well, I can, I suppose. I can take it up to here. Hey, all I can do is laugh at it, okay? I'm experimenting with this. This door was rough anyway, and I've dealt with worse than this, and it's just one of those things. I'll get it figured out. I'll get it dollied up or something like that. I gotta laugh at it because it's just it's funny. So I'm gonna go ahead now and get some of this stuff straightened away, and I'll bring you back when I got a bigger mess made. So I went ahead and I cut it up through there, and I went right up to the belt line that's on the car, because I kept noticing it was still tucking up here. It's good above the line. It's just up to that point there. Now, if you look very closely and you look at the gap there and the gap there, you can actually see it's wider down here than up here. That's just an actual zip cut blade up through there, and she relieved herself, okay? That was the mistake made there. Came over here. I should have came over here and then came down this way here with my weld, okay? I turned around, I dollied it. I went and flattened this out to get that crown out of it, because I used the angle iron like a dolly, and I got that down, okay? That's down pretty good there now. This is not bad now. Up along here. It's still rolling through here. I'm going to work on that. But I was sizing things up here. I said, if I weld this up now and then weld the inside of this here and it has more troubles, something might happen over here. So I'm going to leave this spot alone, and I'm going to go over here and finish welding this much of this in here on the back side and get that done. And that way I'll turn around and I'll come back, and all I got to deal with is this section here, right? I'll get this done, I'll get this dollied where I'm happy with it, and then I'll come back and weld that up. Here now, finishing welding up this last little strip here, taking my time, welding an inch, grinding, welding an inch, grinding an inch. And I got all the rest of this here welded on the back side and everything. It seems to be coming around pretty good here. Now, there's something I want to point out before I finish welding it up. When I cut this before, I was showing you before how this opened up on the bottom. All I'm doing is I'm coming down here, clamping it, just on the other side of it, welding an inch, and then grinding it, and then dollying it, if it needs to be dollied. And I'm moving down here, an inch, and I just finished welding this one here. Just look at this gap. It's after closing right up on me to the point that it's not even the thickness of the blade no more. It's like a razor blade there now. It's after closing right up. Like that was like over-exaggerating. It was like that, and it's after moving together like that now because at the end of it. And this tells you how much the metal actually moves in your welding stuff, okay? So I'm working my way around here, and I'm just chasing the metal. Now, if I had to weld this down here and stop this from moving, from this closing up here, what would have happened when I welded this here? This would have found somewhere else to pull the metal, which would have been out here, and then it would have dropped out here or dropped out here. This is one of the advantages of just leaving this alone. This is a mistake I made. I should have left it alone and basically worked my way around the patch till I come to the end of it like so. That way the actual heat had somewhere to travel into the actual cut itself, right? So I'm gonna go ahead now, finish welding all this up, and have this much of the door done. Buddy, I can tell you, I had to finish up welding up that door. I'm good on the whole day. Since it's about dinner time today, I'm the whole day working on getting that door straightened away. Oh, my. It's as good as it gets, you know? I've been here today, and what ended up happening when I got all this welded up, this spot right here was about that much too high. It was a big crown in it, okay? You can just look at that with the light reflecting off it now. That's all I can do. It's like friggin' tinfoil it is. I'm sorry for swearing, but I can tell you, this really frustrated me today, okay? I got it there now. I'm happy. This is ready for body work now, for filler work. That's what this needs now. I tried to get it straight, and no matter what I did, she'd run up on you. I'm telling you, it was brutal. It's still a small bit of a crown, way smaller than what was in it before. It's supposed to be pretty well, there is a small crown from one side to the other to the door, but it's very subtle, okay? I mean, it just seems like I ended up trying to shrink this area here. I don't have oxyacetylene, and to me, that's the only way you can shrink these properly. I've seen guys talking about these shrinking discs. I've never used them. I've never seen one. I don't know anybody that got one here locally, and I don't know nothing about them, okay? This stuff is so thin. When I tried shrinking it, just trying to do it manually small ways and trying to find a simple heat source. I haven't got no heat here. I don't justify buying a contract for a bottle of a contract for a bottle of acetylene, a contract for a bottle of oxygen, and then a bottle of oxygen, and then a bottle of propane to have sitting around the shop here just for shrinking, okay? There's got to be an easier way or simpler system for doing shrinking without having to have oxyacetylene. Over the years, I've had 3 or 4 sets of bottles. I bought contracts, and I just don't justify it, okay? Now that I got a plasma cutter there, a plasma cutter, I don't need it for cutting, so all I really need is oxyacetylene for shrinking. And it would have been nice to have it here today because this section of the door here was brutal, okay? I did some crude things to it to get it fixed, and I won't go into it because that's the reason why I'm just saying I'm a bit frustrated with it, because it's not something you teach people. It's just the way I turn around and had to do it. This door is what it is. Few people have talked about in the things, why didn't you just replace the door and get another door? This door is the last big project on this car. And if anybody knows me, I've been at this car a couple of years. I've been keeping an eye out for a door for this, okay? If I could have gotten a door for this, I would have, but I couldn't get a door. There's no way of getting a door. And after making a couple of posts on it now, and fellas are saying the same thing, they're not easy to get. So I had to make do with what I got here, okay? This stuff is extremely thin, okay? Out here in the middle of this door, a little bit of heat down here would warp this up here, okay? Because it just had to travel and it'd take a whole section like this here. This here has got low spots in it, waves in it. It's far from straight, but it's straight enough for me, okay? I got it now so that it doesn't concave this way here, and it hasn't got a big bow in it this way here, but it is this type of thing. And this is like every time you struck a hammer off it, you end up doing a trouble with it. I end up cutting down through here again, okay? Tell you the truth, I cut her from here to here, and then I cut her from here to here. That's what I did, and then I welded it all up, and I can tell you it was something else, because I just could not get it down. Whatever I was doing around here with the metal, it just kept moving out on me. So if I was trying to dolly this area here, it'd move out to here, and move out to here on me. And I just just couldn't do it. It wouldn't work for me. So I ended up cutting it, letting it all relax, got it all straight. And then I jerry-rigged a big old I-beam here, big piece of steel right here. That straight edge there, and clamped it on either side of the door. And then clamped it this way, because I won't be able to do this ever, so I clamped it this way here. And then just slowly start welding it. And that was what took me up so long, because I'd weld an inch, and then let it cool, grind it off, weld an inch. And then, of course, then you had to deal with this type of metal. And after grinding it, cutting and welding it a few times, it really got thin. So then you were chasing welds all over the place on the bloody thing, right? So it was a frustrating day. So I got it done where I'm happy with it now. It's solid. It hasn't got no tinfoil or oil canning going on there. It's all good that way here. The body line is there, if you want to call it. Right? It's there, if you want to call it that. But this one here was nice. This one here goes along here pretty good. And now I got to make the bottom of the door for this. So I got all that straightened away, and I'm happy with it. I got to trim up the bottom of this door. There's a lot of old rust and everything on this. I'm just going to trim all this off. I'm going to cut this entire lip right off the bottom of it here, right along here. I'm going to go ahead. I got to weld a bottom piece right here. When I cut this off, I got to weld a section in here to come along here. And of course, I got to trim this off. I'm just cutting everything out of the way that's rusty, so that because when I go through the inside structure on this, I'm doing it on the car. So I'm going to go ahead and get this trimmed up. I'm going to get a piece welded in there. I'm not going to bore you with that. Get that trimmed up. Get the latch and everything back in again. Get the door put back together again. And get it put on the car. Because I need it on the car next to finish up through the corners. I'm going to have the bolt fender on as well. So I'll bring you back when the door's back on the car. So I came out last night and I got everything done I had to get done. I got the bottom of it all trimmed off. I got the piece welded in over here on this side here. I got that straightened away. Then I turned around and then I mounted the door on the car and I mounted the fender on, okay? Reason why I did that, because I want to get the door seams. I got the doors open and closing. Open and closing, good. So now we're left with, we got to build the bottom of the door and put a door skin on it. But here we are, and what I got to do is I got it all trimmed off, all the rust cut off it. I wasn't worried about what was good and trying to keep shapes and nothing like that. This is the reason why I put the door back on the car. Because now I'm going to use the actual car itself to make the actual pieces work right. I know I've got to flow this way. I know I've got to go flow this way here, how far I was got to be, the way it's got to step down. I got to make a template because over here, this comes over, comes down, comes out, comes down again. That's the way I got to go. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to build a piece in the middle first. And then when I get that welded in, then I'll build one end and I'll build the other end and get it all dressed up. I'll use the gaps that are here. These gaps here, this is the gap I'm trying to get down around all the way along the bottom. You can see it over here. I line up the door and the fender to get it where I want it, make sure everything was the same height and whatnot. Same with back here. Want to get a nice door seam. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go down here. I'm going to bend up a template to make the bracket and then go find a piece of steel that I can actually bend it from. So here's where I'm to. What I did is I bent up a little template of how I wanted the shape to go. Like so, like that. That's the way I wanted that shape to go, like that. There. To go along there. And I took that there and then I actually brought it over and I measured up the distance here, which is roughly 3 feet. And I cut out a piece of tin that length. Then I took my template, transferred it onto a piece of steel, and then bent it up over in the brake. And then I turned around and I fine-tuned it. I cut it up here on the ends because it tapers up on either end. I done that, I cleaned it all up. Went over and tested it a couple of times. I'm pretty well ready to weld this in now. I left the coating on this lower section down here because this is where usually all rust to. I didn't want to go getting into that. I'm going to leave that there so when I put the skin down over it, wraps over, there'll be some protection there. So this is ready to go. I got the other thing. This is just going to be a lap joint. Like the original piece comes out to here and got the holes in it. I'm going to leave it there for now. So that way I can actually drill the holes to line up for the actual door seal. And it'll just be a lap weld. Most of the inside of the door stuff I usually does. I don't really get carried away with doing cut to fit and all that type of stuff inside the doors, because when it's all said and done, to where everything is curved and shaped, it's very hard to see any of it anyway, and it's very easy to fill. Alright then, so now that I got that all done, I'm going to fit this in place and get it tack welded in. So I went ahead and I welded that in place. I'm happy where that's to there now. It's fully solid welded in. I'm going to trim it up on the inside after the fact. I've after test fitting it a few times, and I made sure the gaps on the bottom were the same, and I made sure that it was lined up with the rocker panel where I wanted to. Going along there. Took a bit of tweaking, a bending, a little tweaking here and there. So if you look at it here, you can see the way that there's consistent across the bottom. Okay. Over there in that corner, I got some work to do there. Over here, I'm happy with this one here, right? What I'm doing here now is I'm piecing the corner back together. Now, you can get really, really complicated here and start working this here with a hole with one piece. This here has to flow up into here, okay? That's all I concentrated on, okay? I got this one done. Concentrate on this one here now. That one there, all it is, I just welded a tab onto it. That's hanging off. I can trim that off after. And that there, I got that flowing into that there. Now I got to get this here to flow into this here. So I'll put a piece in here, and I'll flow that in there. I don't overthink this stuff, okay? All I'm doing is I'm piecing this together. Then I got to work on the outside edge there, right? You can sit down and like complicate yourself sometimes when you're at this stuff, and try to turn around and make this bend and roll it this way and make this bend as roller. I just piece it together, 2 or 3 pieces. Once I get it welded on the inside, I usually don't really bother to do much of the grinding on the inside. You're never going to see this on the inside. I'll just clean it up a bit. Gives lots of meat there, and then you go on the outside and you can do a real nice tidy job dressing it up and weld it where it needs to be and filing it and whatnot on the outside. I'm going to continue on now and piece that together, and I'll bring it back from time to time. As you can see, I got this side here completed. It don't look pretty at all. I'm never concerned about welding on the inside of the door. It just makes it stronger that is welded up there. I don't need to worry about finishing this because when the skin goes on over the top of it, you'll never see this here. And once it's all painted and whatever, it just gives it strength. And I know this is not interfering with nothing. I made sure that when I grinded stuff down, I made sure it didn't interfere with the actual height of the skin. So this section here, that type of thing. So that's below where I need it to be. So that should be fine. I just pieced it together, put a piece in there, put a piece in there. Then I made up this section here. And then I just tack welded it on up here, tack welded on here, and then I shaped it. I cut it off here and shaped it, put it in. Now, in behind this, it's a total mess. I'll worry about that now when I take the door off. I'll grind and dress it and weld it and do a pretty job on all that in there. So how did I make this piece here? I'll show you. I'm over here at the vise. I got my big old vise here, and I got 2 pieces of angle iron. You've seen this before. 2 pieces of angle iron. I got an old scrap piece steel here. It's already set up and whatever, so I'm going to pretend this is the piece that I just made. And all I'm doing here now is that I turn around and I marked it on both sides like so. So I put a little lip on both sides so that I can get references when I clamp it into the vise. Regular old ball peen. That's an old masonry hammer, I think. I use it as a dolly. I've used it for years. Got no handle or nothing on it. And all I do is I put that into there, and I just start hammering it. But I don't go too far. Work my way back and forth till I get it to the depth that I want it at. I got that side done. All I do now is I don't worry about bending it up again. I'll just put that in around the second line and I'll just clamp it tight. And repeat. Just a simple little corner with a flanged edge on it, gives it strength. Right? So, like, you know, that'd be the inside corner of a door, and that'd be the intersection there. And you got a nice little rolled edge on it. There's no welding or nothing on it. You could probably do it with a bead or whatever, but if you haven't got a bead roller, it's the way you can do it. Now, I'm going to go ahead now and start building the other side, and I'll bring you back from time to time on that side. Don't that look lovely? Now that I got everything in place, I got both corners made. You can see now I got a gap on the actual door itself, gap on the bottom, and I'm happy with all that around there. Going on the bottom and up this side here, I got a gap on the side there. Now I'm happy with that there. What I want to do is take the door off, and I want to get the inside all tidied up and straightened up and welded up. That got to be done. And I also want to make the lower door skin, but I'm not going to install it off the car. I just want to take the door off. It's a lot easier to work on the door on the bench. So I'm going to take this off now and get over the bench and show you the lovely mess on the inside. So here's where I'm to. I got the door taken off. You can see the way this is all pieced in here, and all rough pieces and whatever, but the basic shape is there, okay? I got some issues down here. I'm going to have to take this hinge off, so I actually marked it here now, so I got a place that I can put it back. And I'm not going to disturb none of the, where I scrapes it or nothing. I got a line drawn here and a line drawn here, so I can position it back there again. Hopefully it's in the right place. Down here along the bottom, I left this section to the bottom of the door on the car. I got to come up here and cut this off up here. But I left it there because I got to drill these holes, okay? I'm going to go in there and drill all these holes here first, because that's where the actual rubber seal mounts on, along there. Then I'll cut that piece out. And then over here, you can see this here, I'll grind this up here, re-weld it, grind it and dress it, and get this a real nice finish on all this here, okay? So then I got a nice lip all the way around the side of it. So I'm going to go ahead now, get this all cleaned up, get that drilled out, and get this all welded up and grinded up. Now, after going and grinding all this here now, and turning around now and going back and re-welding everything, I got the bottom cut off here. I got all the holes drilled in through here. I still got to go over here. I got a couple of more I got to drill over here. I'm going to get all this dressed up first before it goes drilling any holes. And over here, done the same thing. I grinded it up, and then I re-welded everything. I'm going to finish this all off now. I'm trying to get this here, trying to look in so that I haven't got to do a lot of body work or anything on it when it comes time to do it. I like this corner here especially. I like this corner to look original. When you open the door and you look down, you'd see that it got the flow and everything on the go, and you know, you can see the seam going along the bottom of the door. You don't see a big glob of filler that's very thick on the corners of the doors. I hate that, right? So I'm gonna go ahead now and get this all grinded up. So I got this all grinded up, all ready to go. Get it in the right light there. You can see it's got a nice finish going up along there now. I can probably use a bit more grinding there though. The there corner's nice. On the bottom here, I went and welded and grinded the edge there. Now this is a lap weld here, so there's a little bit, you can feel a little bit there, and if you look closely, you can actually see the lap weld. But I'm not worried about that because it's on the bottom of the door on the inside. Over here is the spot I was really concerned about. This spot over here. I wanted this to look nice, going down through here. I wanted the seat to be there and a nice rolled edge. I wanted a nice seamed edge all along here. Okay, so it all rolled right nice. So now that I got that done, I got the main structure of the door put back. I got to flip it over now and start cutting up and getting the skin ready to go on it. I won't be installing it here, but I'm going to get it pretty well prepped, so it's pretty close to fitting on the car, on the door itself. But I want to do one last fit on the car before I put the actual wells of skin on. And probably what I end up doing then is I'll grind the edges, because I got to get these edges right, because the way these are rolled off, I can't bend the lip this way here. I actually got to weld the lip on. I want to have this type of seam back on it again. There's a seam there now. It's kind of hard to see because I got seam sealer on it. But I want to have a seam going down through here and along here. But I'm going to weld that on because of the way it's shaped. Okay. If you just bend it on a 90, it's always sharp, right? So, and I'll weld this edge here, right along here, and put a nice dressed edge on it, right? So, what have I got done? I turned around and I cut the piece out. I stripped off the other side of it. Then I turned around and brought it over, put it in the brake, and I tried bending over the lip, but it was so short, I ended up having to hammer it over using the brake itself. I hammered it over, and then I actually hammered the flange on it using the ruler. Had that tucked in there and hammered it down over that so that there's already folded over. Then I went over and I test fitted on the door. No, before I done that, I went over and ran through the English wheel because I wanted to put a bit of a crown on the panel. Because I always find that door bottoms are a bit flat, too flat on the bottom, okay? Like they're very flat in the middle, and I want to put a bit of a crown in the middle, so I just ran a few passes through the English wheel. Then I went over and test fitted on the car and I marked the ends of it right here. And what I did is I marked it, but I give myself probably like a quarter of an inch or so right off the tail end of it, okay? And on both sides, so that way I'm going to grind this to fit when it's bolted back on the car again. And that way I haven't got too much excess hanging off the end of it. Done the same thing over here. And I also marked the height of it. And I cut them pieces off on the ends. And then I cut the height. I cut that off it. So now I'm left with the panel itself. I'm going to go over and do one last test fit on it. And I'm going to work on, probably put a couple of clecos or something on it. And that way I can bolt it back on the door again. I'm not welding it on yet. I just want to make sure that it's fitting on the car good. So I'm here now. I got a test fit on it. It's only overlap. It's hooked on the bottom here. And I clamped down. I got lots of excess on either side. And I just sizing up where it's to on the belt line. And it's lower here than it is here. So I got to trim it off a bit up here. But I'm happy with it. It feels good. It's nice and where I crowned it up. Got a good thing. It's nice and solid when you push on it. It has a strain on it going this way. Like in terms of trying to lift itself up off it. I didn't want to have it so that I had to push down on the panel. So that's one good thing about it. So when I push down on it, it's going to want to relieve itself back up again. Pull itself back, right? Yeah. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to have to put the hinge back on it again here now. And get this door bolted on. And I want to fit this back on the panel on the car. And I'm going to put a couple tacks on it and see where it's to. The biggest thing I'm after now is to get this here looking good on the rocker panel. That's the next thing. So I got the door on, and I I mounted the door skin, and I played around with it. I found that it had to be moved around because the gap was wider here than it was on the back. I had to bring this up, and had to bring this down. This is where you got to have it on the car, too. Got to have a nice seam all the way around. So now that I got that all figured out, and I got the seam down here good, what I'm doing now is I put a couple of clecos in it, so now that can permanently put back into place, and I'll have my heights and everything. What I need to do now is I got to trim the ends for the seam that I want. So you can see here, you can see the gap coming down here, it overlaps, and it opens up again, right? So it's changed a bit. So what I'll do now is I'll take the grinder and I'll shape the end of this here. So got a nice gap on the end of it. I'll shape this corner down here, I'll round it off. That way I'll know where it's got to be, and I'll leave that alone there like that. And then I'll mount the fender on it, and I'll do the same thing up here. You can see that's going to have to be cut off there somewhere, but I'll use the fender to line it up, and I'll mark it, and I'll trim it off, and get a nice seam there, so that way when I build the inside piece, all I got to do is I already got something to go by out here. And then I can take the door off the car again, and then I can fully weld it up. That's the plan anyway. So I'm going to go ahead now, get this grinded up here. You can see it here now, so I like it here. And then it comes up and it just goes away to nothing here, and then you can see where it's supposed to be. So I'll take the grinder now and I'll shape all that and get that looking like I think it should look. So I got the fender back on it, and like there's only 2 bolts down there and 2 bolts here. There's nothing up front there. I lines up these ones here, and all I'm after is the seam here, and make sure that the fender's straight on the bottom here, going this way. The rest of it is doesn't really matter, right? But I got it here now. You can see I got the gap all set up here where I like it, and all I'll do now, I had to trim some of this here so I get the fender to clear it, and all I'll do now is I'll take the grinder and go in there and start cleaning that off there, and put a nice little seam down through there, and that'll be the front edge of the door. And there you have it. Nice little seam going up through there now. So now I can actually put the piece on the inside now, weld it at. I'm still going to have to fine tune that later, but I know exactly where that's got to go through there now. So now that I got my seam across the bottom figured out, I got 2 reference points that I can actually put the panel back. I got the front seam cut down, and I got the rear seam cut down. Now I can take this off the car and do all my welding. I'm going to pop that door off there now and start welding. There you go, that was quick. There's no, like, you may think it's putting the door on, taking the door off, putting the door on. Of course, now this is an empty door, so it's pretty light, and I prefer to limb out the door for that reason. And also, when you're doing a lot of welding on it, you shouldn't have nothing inside the door, especially the glass. Took me all of 2-3 minutes to unbolt everything again. It's 5 bolts on the door, 4 bolts on the fender. It's all apart again, okay? What I'm going to do first is I got it scribed up here in the corners. I got to cut the skin back so far because I'm not going to be able to do anything in here. Cut it back and cut it on an angle here so I can get this here to mount flush on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead. I just scribed them here, and now I just got to turn around, take the panel off, and then cut the corners out of them, and then reinstall the panel. So I went ahead, cut back the corners here now, so it's all ready to go in there and lay flat there. Same with this corner here, I got to cut back. So that is an actual butt joint there, and then I'll do a cut and butt up along here. What I went and did then is I put some paint in there. That's just any old rust paint that I got kicking around here. It's not a well-through primer or nothing like that. I just wanted to put something on it. I intend to spray inside these doors with more material at a later date, but right now I just want to put something there because these seams here, I'm going to have a hard time getting anything in them, so I'm trying to get seams in there. And I also got the bottom side done all the way along here on both sides and underneath the bottom side here, so that puts a skin piece on it. All that'll be protected. So it's getting late here now. I'm going to call her a night. I'm going to let that dry for the night, come out tomorrow and finish this off. So it's the next day. All this is dried right nice now and everything. So let's get this thing welded up. Here's what I got done. I got the piece laid up in place, and I got the 2 clecos back in. And I got this piece of square stock laid on it because I don't want to push too far on this here to weld it. I just want to start welding from the middle and work my way out, tack weld it together because I want to get that done first. And I'm using the square stock as a straight edge to keep everything level, because the problem I'm having here is I'm finding this here has got this going on when I just let it rest. So I'm just trying to put a bit of weight on it, keep it nice and straight, and just start working from the outside. I'll weld so much, I can pretty well weld all the middle up here. And then when I gets out, then I got to start pushing down on the small bit, so I'll probably let the beam go then, just to tighten it up a small bit. So. So I got it all tack welded across the top there. And when I got flipped over now, I got a piece of the square stock clamped down here. I want to hammer this flat now. Make it nice and tight there and get that tack welded on in all places. Sometimes you drill spot welds. I'm just going to put a little tack here, a little tack there, and so on. The outside is just tacked on, so it's held in place for the cutting butt. So it's only every 4 inches. What I want to finish, I want to get this here done. And I want to get the pieces made up and installed here and get these edges welded here, get them done. And that way it's just a matter, all I got left to do is then do the cut and butt across here and she's done. So I'll get the hammer now and start hammering all this down and get this done. So I got that all welded up, hammered up, grinded up. That's all done there now. Nice seam on the bottom side there. Got it all clamped over, nice and solid. I'm going to move on now, make up pieces here for the sides, for both sides here. I'm going to go ahead now and get them all cut out and made up. That one there should be straightforward and simple because it's straight. This one over here got a bit of a corner on the end. Got to play around with that a bit. I'll get them all welded up there now. So I went ahead and I finished that one off. I grinded a flat here, I grinded a flat here, and then when I had that done, then I grinded this way here to the shape that I wanted. I just grinded it back till I could see that I was back in the metal again, like where I had everything welded up solid. So any high spots would have been, you know, would have showed through with like dimples and everything and that type of stuff. So I managed to sand all that. I'm probably going to still have to fine tune it when it gets it on the car, but I don't mind that. I'm pretty close here now, I hope, anyway. So I got that one done. I went ahead and I done the other side. Got this side done, same process as before. I done it down through there, put a piece in it, and then roll it around, put a small piece in the bottom here to get on my light. There we go. Down the corner. Now these corners are usually different than that. I was thinking about doing it. These usually comes in and steps in very small and steps out again. But I'll be seam sealing this here. I just wanted to have a nice solid corner there. And that's all I did. I could have got really fancy with it and stepped this down here and came around the corner, stepped it up again, but that'd be fine for there, right? It's only me, got to be pleased with this. So, and then I grinded it, same way, grinded it like this, right? And got it all done. Got that all done now. The entire bottom of the skin is all hooked up. Now I'm going to flip it over and do the top section as well. This is what it looks like on the outside, all grinded off. Same with the other side. Some of you are saying, well, Tony, why don't you just bend the flange over on the ends, okay? Here's your problem, okay? I have something that's bent on a 90 here now, okay? If I was to bend this over here, here's what you're going to be running into down this corner, okay? It doesn't go straight down around here. You could probably flange it over and bend it up on the top side and trim off the bottom and do it, but I just assume do it the way I just done it there that time, for the simple reason that this is not exactly a full straight edge. This has got a crown to it, and an angle, like if I had to bend the flange like this here, that's what it would look like going down through there. Over here was even worse, okay? This is a full curvature over here. You can actually see the way this would look over here if I try to do it that way. It'd be way out, and you'd be building up the middle and trying to weld the center, because what would end up happening here and here would be the right place, and then this would have went straight across here, like so, and that would have been all low right there, right? These door bottoms are something I done a lot of. I never done 10 or 15 door bottoms in my lifetime. I will not exaggerate, I've done hundreds of door bottoms, okay? I've experimented with all the different ways people do things and, you know, put a door bottom in, but like almost every 70s and 80s car that was around here, first thing to go was door bottom, okay? And it was just like one of those things. Vans. You had a Chev van that had side open doors on it, or sliders or anything like that. Every door on the van had a bottom gun on it. So a van alone used to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bottoms to repair them. So this is not something that I don't do a lot of. Over the past 30 odd years, I've done 100 or more of these door bottoms. Now, all I got left to do here now is we're up here. I'm just going to do the cutting butt through there and get that welded up, okay? This video is getting really long now. I'm going to just take shots of it. Any major details is the same as the other door, okay? I got the video I posted earlier. It'll be in the link in the description below of the door, and it'll probably be more details if you really want to, if you got more questions to ask, go back and look at that video. It's the same process. I've probably done a few things different. It's been a while since it's been over a year now since I've done the other door. So, but I'm going to go ahead now and get this all done. I got it all butt welded in there now, the piece taken out. One of my subscribers, Ryan, he's after sending me a couple of things now. He sent me these really neat little pry bars. You see how thin they are, but they're right beefy on the ends. This one's the smaller one. And they're great for tweaking the metal for getting it flush. Thanks, Ryan. Another cool tool to add to the list. But anyway, I got that done now. I'm going to go ahead, go over and get this all welded up. The one thing I find with this car is every time I go get a bunch of welding done on it, the very last bit, I ends up chasing something, a real weak spot. It's constant throughout this car. Everything I went on this car, I get close to the finish, I end up with something like this then, right? Like, you know, you look at it and you go, well, you know, this is the last bit of it. You figure to be, okay, just go weld it up and I'm done. No, I'm chasing that now, a couple minutes here now. Waiting it to cool off, just touching it, dabbing it a bit, trying to catch it with the hole. You can see it was down here and I'm chasing it right across the top of it now. Oh, lovely thin metal. Anyway, I'll get that welded up and start grinding that up. And there it is, all grinded up. It's amazing. Like, you come over here and you can see, like, this is the 24 gauge, this is the 18 gauge where it comes across. And right here in the middle, this is 18 gauge, this is 18 gauge. It's got a real nice finish in it. From here to here is the best part on the whole door. She's tucked a bit in here, small bit. And she's tucked a small bit over here. No, it's pretty good there, right? It's pretty good there. It's nice, really nice there, right? That's why I always like the 18 gauge, right? It just seems like it's harder to work in terms of doing metal work with them, but once you get used to it, you prefer it, because when it comes time to welding, you can really get away with stuff with it, and it comes out really nice. You can actually look at it that way there, see? And then you look over there, you actually see the difference in it. Looking across at it, how nice this here looks compared to that. And then come over here, this is back to the 24 gauge along here again, see? But that's it, I got it done now. All I got to do now is I'm going to bolt it back on the car and adjust these edges, make sure they're all right in the corners, get all them done, and then we'll have this door done. Well, I just bolted it on, I haven't done nothing with it. And I got a nice little seam across the bottom. Over here on this side here, that'll be worked a small bit, but it's pretty good. Don't need a lot. That corner may need a little bit of work. This corner is out, and so is this corner. Just gotta dial it up a bit, and then I just gotta fit the fender around it and see what that looks like there. But for the most part, we're getting there. I'm gonna get the fender net put on that now, and get this here fitting better, because I got to dolly this, because this is the thing with this here. The door has to rotate out a bit more this way here, because this here comes along here, and it's in behind there, right? You can actually see it stops there, and then it flows over there, and then it flows off there. So I'll dolly this corner here and rotate it out a bit to bring the center, this part of the door, out a small bit. But that's pretty well the most of it. It fits a lot better than I thought it was going to. I figured I was going to have major troubles in here, but no, it fits nice. And there you have it. Very pleased with that. Up here in front, I just had to tap this corner in, and I had to shave off a little tiny bit right here, and that was it. Nice seam there. Looking at it down through here. Nice consistency. Body lines are good, right? Going right up through there. All that's good. Along the bottom here, all that's good. And over here, all I did up here, I had to grind this section here a small bit. Then I had to tap out this whole section here so I can get that to bring out to the side of the quarter panel. And tap in that corner there. And that's it, she's done. Opens and closes really nice. Very pleased with that. There was a lot of work on that door. So that's it for that one. How much work was on that door? We ended up having to replace the corner up here. We had a piece down here, we had a hole. No, we had a hole here. A section up here had to be replaced. A section up here had to be replaced. This section here had to be replaced. This whole section here was replaced. Around the door handle was replaced. And the entire bottom was replaced. People are going to say, Tony, all the hours you got in that, you know, who's going to pay for that? No one's going to pay for that, because that's mine, okay? This door to me right now is priceless. I've been putting off this door for a long period of time, hoping maybe I'd find a better door, but I couldn't find one. Like I said, there's nothing here on the island, and for me to ship something like this in is going to cost me way more than what the door is worth, okay? Even if it was a mint door, the shipping on it would be crazy. I had a lot of fun restoring this. It was a big challenge. I got to take you guys along to all the trials and tribulations of trying to get this thing done. But I'm happy with it now. It's another big piece of the puzzle that's done on this car. There's not much left to her now. The hood is the only piece that hasn't had no work done on it, okay? And I'm debating whether to even do anything with the hood, because everybody keeps saying to me when I get it done, I'm going to have to change the name on it, because you can't call it Crusty no more, because it's not Crusty no more. But I'm thinking about leaving the hood like it is, the way this fender is here, and leaving the hood alone. Paint the entire car right nice. You see fellas years ago used to have hoods flat black and stuff like that. But I think if I just left the hood alone with the rust along the front of it there and all the surface rust and everything on it, and just left it alone, you can point at it and say the whole car was like that. It's just an idea. I'm just getting foolish just going through my head here now, because the hood is extremely rough as well. But it's solid enough that I can use it to open and close. It's just that the underside of it's all gone, and it's got a lot of heavy rust like this on it, and it's got vents back in the back corners, and I know it's going to be a nightmare to try to do work around them vents if it does anything at all. So I might just leave the hood like it is. But that's it. Another one done on this one. Glad to see it done. This one here is going to be a long one, because this here took longer than I expected. Now, anything that you want, like any details that you think I might have missed on this here, I already done on the other door that's over there in the other video. And like I said, I'll have the link in the description below. You want to go through details. I just want to get this done because there's a lot of work on this door. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. I hope the tips were good. And until next time. I'll grind and dress it and weld it and do a pretty job on all that in there. What do you want? Huh? What are you doing? Huh? Over for inspection, eh?